Today we're going to be talking about the area of parallelograms and of triangles. So first, let's look at the area of a parallelogram. And what I want us to look at is this triangle here. And now if I take kind of that triangle that I outlined, and I move it over here, and what you kind of have to imagine is that this is now the triangle, and this is gone. Okay, so I've taken that triangle, I've cut it out and moved it. What figure do I have? We have a rectangle. Okay, where the height is the same and this base just kind of shifted over. So the area of a parallelogram is base times height. Okay, so finding the area of this parallelogram. So the area, what you have to remember is that your height is always perpendicular to the base. So look at where the perpendicular piece is. This is my perpendicular piece. So I have, that's my height, which is 6. What segment is that perpendicular to? That's perpendicular to my side, that's 14. So my area is 84. And we don't have units, so we don't have to worry about putting units on our answer. Next one, find the perimeter and area of parallelogram Rstu. Okay, so let's look at this one. So we have a parallelogram, this side is 32. That's how we know that whole side is 32. This little piece is 12. This side is 20. This side is 20. So my perimeter is 2 times 32 plus 2 times 20. And that is going to equal 104 inches. Now the area is a little bit more complicated because we have to find this height. So we have to look at this right triangle here. And let's look at that. And I want you guys to recognize something right away. That's 20 here. Well, that is 4 times 5. This here is 4 times 3. So I have parts of a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, a Pythagorean triple. So this height is going to be 4 times 4, 3, 4, 5 triangle, or 16 inches. So my area is 1/2 my base, which is 32, times my height, which is 16. And so that area is 512 square inches. Remember, your units on perimeter are regular inches. Area units are square inches. That's how many little 1 inch by 1 inch squares I can fit in this little triangle, in this little parallelogram. 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch squares. Okay, our next example. We have our base. We have to find the height. We know one side is 9, so I know this side is 9. They tell me I have a 45-degree triangle. So I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So this is 45, this is 45. One side is 9. I need to find the height. Remember, our ratios were as easy as, oh, it's not as easy as 1, 2, root 3. 1, 1, and root 2. So set up your proportion. 9 is to root 2, as my height is 2, 1. So basically, I have 9 over root 2 is my height. If I multiply by root 2 over root 2, I get that in simplest radical form. Okay, from there, I now know my area is 1/2, my base is 12, my height is 9 root 2 over 2, and that all simplifies to 54 root 2. They don't give me units anywhere, so I don't have to worry about units. Okay, area of a triangle. You probably already know this formula. I actually really hope that you already know this formula. Okay, so we have this area of this parallelogram. So the area of this parallelogram is base times height. If I draw in a diagonal, actually that's not the diagonal I want to draw in. I'm going to draw in this diagonal. That makes better sense. We have one triangle there, and then we have the top triangle. And those two triangles are congruent. How do I know those triangles are congruent? Opposite sides are congruent, opposite sides are congruent, and the common side, so side, side, side. So basically, the area of this triangle here and that triangle there are the same thing. So the area of one of those triangles is base times height over 2. So area 1/2 base times height of a triangle. Okay, find the area and perimeter of each one of these. Okay, so I'm going to first start with area because that's a little less complicated. Our perimeter gets a little bit more complicated. So we have, this is my base. That is the height. This 30 inches is the perpendicular to this side, or the line that extends that side. So that's considered the height, even though it's outside. So my area is 1/2 the base times the height, which ends up being 285 square inches. Now the perimeter is a little bit more complicated. We need to find this side here, or the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So use your Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals 27 squared plus 30 squared. C squared ends up equaling 1629. I square root. And then putting that in simplest radical form, you would have to use your calculator on this. I know I used my calculator. So my perimeter is equal to 27 is not a side, is equal to 19 plus 41. And this hypotenuse is 3 root 181. That's really small for you guys to see. I apologize. So, and that simplifies to 60 plus 3 root 181. Okay, so now for B. We don't know what this height is to find our area. So we use our Pythagorean theorem. 13 squared equals 6 squared plus, I'm going to call that h since that's my height. So I have 13 squared. When I solve for h, I'm just going to solve for it. I get 133. So this is square root of 133. So my area is 1/2 of 29 times root 133. And we want the most exact answer, so we're going to be leaving it as this, just 29 root 133 over 2. And that's okay that that's not the, quote, prettiest of numbers, because the world isn't perfect, okay? Sometimes we're not going to have integers as our answers. To be able to find the perimeter, we need to find the length of this hypotenuse. So we need to do the Pythagorean theorem again. So c squared equals the square root of 133 squared plus 29 squared. 133, wait, what does that all equal? That ends up all equaling 974. So c, my hypotenuse, is the square root of 974. And you can't reduce that anymore. So my perimeter is, again, not a very pretty answer. 29 plus root 133 plus the square root of 974, but that's okay, okay? And you might want to get a decimal answer. The decimal answer is 71.74. Make sure you read the directions on any question or ask me if what I want my answer as. Okay, our next example. The height of a triangle is 7 inches more than its base. The area of a triangle is 60 square inches. Find the height and the base. So the height of a triangle is 7 inches more than the base. The height of a triangle is 7 inches more than the base. Our area formula is 1/2 base times height. So I have the area of my triangle is 60. 1/2. I don't know the base, but I have an expression for the height. I am going to multiply by 2. That cancels out that to make this a 120. That cancels that out, so that's no longer there. So I distribute the b through. And then we have to try and factor this. Okay, I said each one of my factors equal to 0. So b can equal -15 or b can equal 8. So you can't have a negative base length. So my base is equal to 8. My height is 7 plus what my base is, which in this case is 15. Okay, that is my video on areas of triangles and parallelograms. Thank you for watching.